Hello, my name is Joel Wright. I am one of the business development managers for InstantAtlas and your host today. First, I'd like to thank you for attending today's Demo Friday with us. It's great to see clients turn out to know a little bit more about InstantAtlas. I'd also like to introduce our guest presenter, Dorothy McEwen. Dorothy is a member of our desktop support team and the desktop training manager. She also contributes to the InstantAtlas Essential tutorials and blog posts. Thank you, Dorothy, for participating in today's Demo Friday. Dorothy will be discussing today how to get the most out of InstantAtlas Desktop. She'll be giving out some good details on how to quickly produce impressive reports, giving you some rich InstantAtlas takeaways. We expect the webcast to last approximately 20 minutes, and it will be recorded so you can watch again or pass it to your colleagues. If you have any problems viewing the presentation or questions about the presentation, please send an email to support@geowise.co.uk. Okay, that leaves me to pass the presentation over to Dorothy, and we hope you enjoy the demonstration. Dorothy, it's over to you.
Hi, my name is Dorothy, and I'm going to be taking you through the InstantAtlas takeaways that we would like to do today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my desktop. Now there is a slight delay between what I do and what you see when you're looking at my desktop. So according to this on my screen, you should be able to see our website now on my desktop. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the publisher, and we're going to look at creating a report in less than 5 minutes. So we're going to start the clock here, and this is our beginning stage, so I'm going to choose the easiest of the reports. These are all our different templates, and I'm going to start with the single map template. It's the one that everyone learns on. So I'm going to choose my postcode sectors. Now, if you're listening from the United States, then you can think of these as zip code areas. For other regions, then this is your postal sectors. So in the UK, these are just our general postcode sectors, and this shapefile comes with the software, and it covers Edinburgh. So I'm just going to change the title of it from postcode sectors to Edinburgh postcodes, just to make sure it looks nice when it comes to my report. I'm going to click Next, and this is where we choose our data. At this point, I'm just going to go with demonstration data that comes directly from the software. So I'm going to hit Next. Now, I'm also going to add a contextual geography, and I'm going to change the name of the contextual geography from postcode districts to Edinburgh postcode districts. Now, just a word of clarity here. Contextual geographies do not ever contain data. They're only there to help an end user kind of orientate themselves with what they're looking at in reality. So a good contextual layer might be something like the districts here, which outline the areas of sectors that nest inside of them. Another one might be towns. So if you had a large data set and you had some point data that showed where towns were, or say hospitals, schools, anything like that would be considered a contextual layer, and it's literally there so that the end user can understand where they're looking at. So I'm going to just go with districts today. Now we've got background images, and for the UK clients and customers, and for anybody that uses what's known as a web map server, a WMS, I've decided to show you this one first. This is our internal InstantAtlas web map server that we provide to any customer in the United Kingdom who wants to use the freely available open data source from the Ordnance Survey. So these are unlicensed in the sense that there is no license involved to use this particular set from the Ordnance Survey. And we provide the WMS to our clients for just as a service that we do, and it gives you a very nice map at different layers. So I'm just going to leave the Ordnance Survey layer in and click Next. Configurations. We have a number of different configurations that we can choose for each one of our templates. I'm going to go with the large map configuration. Now, this is part of the kind of the third point that we'll be going over during this presentation. But really it's about changing the report so that it looks unique, so that it looks like something that you've created, that you've spent a lot of time on, but in reality you've actually spent very little time on it because the software is going to help you create something very quickly. So I'm going to use the large as the standard map configuration. But just by changing that, the report already starts to look unique. Color profile, I'm going to do the same here. Standard is the one that you see all over the web. It's this blue color scheme. That's absolutely fine if you want to go with that. But we also have these other built-in color schemes. So I'm going to go with my favorite, which is light, and I'm going to leave everything else. I'm going to click Next, and then I'm going to browse to the location on my desktop where I want my report to go. And I'm going to publish my report now. So this is just the publisher going through the publishing process. It's creating all the files it needs, and it's going to push them into a zip file, which I then unpack. And now I'm going to look at my report. So as you can see here, I'm looking at my report. It's actually currently set in my desktop, and the Atlas file is now loading. So this is the Flash player loading up and loading my information, and I can see I've got my background mapping. So here are my postcode sectors. If I want to look at the districts, I simply select that to turn on. By default, it's not selected to be turned on. And we have our demonstration data, which is very nicely correlated, makes everything nice and simple. But this is one way that you can approach our software, where instead of devoting a lot of time to your data first, you can have a look and see what the report's going to look like first, and then work on your data set. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. And that brings me to the second point. What if you wanted to use Google Maps instead of Ordnance Survey or a web mapping service? Now, note to our clients that and potential customers from somewhere other than the UK, there's all kinds of WMS available on the internet. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. There's also ArcGIS Server Online, which is a free service for most of its services, which will also give you background mapping. And you can contact us at the support team for more information. But a lot of people really do like to use Google Maps, and so that's the next thing I'm going to show you. So this is the end of the publisher. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple of steps back using the back button here at the bottom, and I'm going to change the background imaging that I want to see by simply deleting out this option of background images. I'm going to hit the Add button and choose the fourth button here at the bottom, which is Google Maps connection. I'm just typing in gibberish for the API key. The API key is free, but you have to generate it from Google itself. You need to contact us for more information if you need to know more about the API key. The key thing to know is that because it's Google, it's free. I'm going to choose the map type I want to see. I'm going to go with hybrid, and I'm going to click Next. I'm going to leave everything else as it was, and I'm going to republish the report into the same location that I just published it in. So I'm going to overwrite all of the files in just a minute. And this is just because I want to change my background mapping. So it's reminding me that I'm going to be changing things. Now, the neat thing about this is that all I have to do is refresh the browser, and you should see the changes once I refresh the browser. Okay, so we clearly have Google Maps showing now instead of the WMS that I was showing before. And because it's Google, it's zoomed itself out a little bit further. You can play around with the settings to try and get it to zoom at the level that you want it to go, but at the moment it's zoomed out a little bit further. So this is Edinburgh itself, and this is Google Maps showing me the area. And if I want to change to, let's say, the map version, so it's kind of your road atlas version, I can simply select it here. When I made the selection in the publisher, I was literally just selecting which version of the map I wanted to view at startup, but there's no way to remove the other options because it's just part of the Google Maps service. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is look at data, because once you understand how fast it is to use the publishing tool and to create reports, your next logical question is, okay, how can I get my data into the report, and how fast can I do it? So we provide this workbook as part of your installation package, and you can edit this workbook however you want, so it'll reflect the data set that you are using for your own map files. So this matches the postcode sectors that I've been working with just a few minutes ago for Edinburgh, which is quite nice because for demonstration purposes and also for training purposes and for learning purposes, it's quite a useful data set. So the first thing I want to show you is that I have all my data in here. And just to show you what will happen if I decide to work on my data this way, let's give this a theme. Let's just call this this particular theme Christmas shopping. And let's say for indicator 1, let's say we're going to be looking at state level. And for indicator 2, let's just leave it as indicator 2, and 3 and 4 as shown. The only reason why I'm changing this information is to show you that when I'm going to overwrite the demonstration data that came directly out of the publisher, so I want it not to say theme 1, indicator 1, I want it to say Christmas shopping state level. And obviously your data sets will be different, but this is just to show you how easy it is to overwrite the data and get it to show your data set instead of the demonstration data set, which is currently showing. Okay, so I have all this demonstration data that is different from the data set that we get out of the publisher. And I wanted to scroll down at the bottom because I wanted to show you something called comparison geographies. If you have a data set that you also want to compare to a different region, so let's say you have county level data and you want to compare it to a regional or to a state level, or in the UK, let's say you've got LSOAs and you want to show its relationship to wards or districts, or however you want to slice and dice it, where you've got, say, national data sets, regional data sets, and you want to compare it to the actual data set that you're showing in the map. We call these comparison geographies because we can put them into a special table in the report, and when you click on that table, you'll get time series and bar chart data that comes across with that national data set or whatever the comparison geography is. So in this example, I'm going to use the city of Edinburgh as my first comparison geography and Scotland itself as the second comparison geography. So everything's ready to go. I've got all my data sets now, and all I'm going to do is click the IA Export button, which is part of our data manager for Excel. You can also do this in Access. We do have an Access data manager, but for the moment we're just going to look at the Excel. And I'm going to click that, and it wants to save a data.xml file. All I need to do is put it into the report folder, and that will overwrite the data that came out of the publisher. Now all I do is refresh my browser, and I should see the brand new data that I have just overwritten. I should see it now come up on my screen. And there you go. So it definitely wants to say Christmas shopping now and at state level. And we can see now, it's mostly correlated, but it's not perfect the way that it had come out of the publisher from the beginning. So we still want to see the comparison data though, because as you can see, there's no City of Edinburgh and there's no Scotland data. So how do we get that in? If I go into my report folder, there is a file in here called config.xml. We open this with the InstantAtlas Designer, which is part of the suite for InstantAtlas Desktop. You get 3 parts. You get the publisher, the designer, and the style editor. So we're going to look at the designer now, which will also work with the style editor. But all we're going to do now is we're going to edit this file so that it will contain the comparison table, because by default it's not included. So this is a wireframe view. There's also a WYSIWYG view if you prefer to see a WYSIWYG view, but at the moment I've set this to show the wireframe view. And I'm going to select the table. I'm going to move the table up a little bit, and then I'm going to insert the comparison table. So nice little trick with InstantAtlas. So this is now not aligned. I'm going to select the pie chart. I'm going to hit Shift on my keyboard and then select the comparison table. By doing that, I get this alignment menu. So I want to align to the one I selected first, which is the pie chart. I want to align the tops. So if I select that, then that aligns its tops. So let's find out how big the pie chart actually is then. The width and the height is 145 by 120 pixels. So I want my comparison table to be just as high. So I'm going to say that this now needs to be 120. Now, I want it to be the same width as the table, which is above it. The width here is 200, so I need to make this comparison table 200. Now the alignment is off for the table and comparison table. So I'm going to select the table first because that's what I want to align to, and then I'm going to align to the right. Now, we can see that this is going to overlap itself, so we need to see what the height is of the legend. The height here is 145, so we're going to change The height here, sorry, I think I got that wrong. The height is 195, so the table here needs to be 195. And that should make everything nice and neat, but also inserts a comparison table. I'm going to save my edits. I'm waiting for that little star to go away. As soon as that star goes away, that's when I know that it's actually finished editing. I'm going to refresh my browser now. And what I should see is the comparison table on the right-hand side. Yep. Okay, so we've got our normal data here. This is what's actually mapped in the data that you see in the map itself and on the bar chart and on the pie chart. The comparison data, though, do you see how you have these lines appear on the bar chart as I scroll? If I want it to appear permanently, I simply select that. And if I want to see it on the time series chart, I can see that this is the Scotland average. So if I select a few areas here, I can see my time series charts for the orange areas, which is what I've selected in my map, versus the Scotland average, which is here. Same for City of Edinburgh if I want to see the City of Edinburgh as an average. And again, on the bar chart itself. Okay, so those are my tips and tricks, and I hope that this gives you lots of information and lots of ideas for how you can use InstantAtlas for yourself, for your own data sets. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send an email to the support team at support@geowise.co.uk. Chances are I'll pick it up and you'll be dealing with me directly, and you can put your questions through that way. But again, use the support@geowise.co.uk address. Thanks very much. I'm going to hand this back over now to our host, Joel, and take it away, Joel. I'm going to stop sharing my desktop.
All right, thank you, Dorothy. On behalf of Dorothy and myself, we thank all today. We thank today's attendees. Hopefully, you're armed with some useful tricks and some information to look into further for InstantAtlas. This broadcast will be available in the coming days for download. All attendees will be notified by email after we've posted the webcast. In addition, keep visiting InstantAtlas.com for future webinar dates, example reports, and product information. If you'd like to know more about InstantAtlas, please contact us directly at marketing@InstantAtlas.com. Once again, thanks for attending Demo Friday.